But we're also going to roll out a new program for Xbox Live Gold members. Beginning July 1st, up through the release of Xbox One, Gold members, new or existing, are going to receive 2 free game downloads, yours to keep.
So you probably already got a pretty good idea how this story goes. The Xbox One comes out, and as it turns out, the Games with Gold promotion keeps going. In fact, after the Xbox One came out, it actually got bigger. They began offering not just 2 360 games, but ultimately as much as 4 games a month for free. Now, it's been 5 years since the 2013 E3 press conference that you saw the video clip of, where they announced Games with Gold. Since then, 125 Xbox 360 games have called themselves Games with Gold. We're counting them down. They're on the screen right now. We're going to take you from worst to first through all 125 Xbox 360 games that were in this promotion. Now, if you've actually taken the time every month, the 2 seconds it takes to at least download the games or add them to your queue, you have all 125 of these Xbox 360 games, which most of them can also be played on Xbox One. If you think about that, that's a lot of games. Like, if you actually wanted to take the time to play all these, it would take forever. It would take so long that many of these I've never even actually played and most definitely haven't actually completed. Now, the order of these is actually based on the Metacritic ratings that are attached to the games. Can't say that I completely agree with many of those Metacritic ratings. For example, the Army of Two games, I would have placed much higher on this list than where they were. I thought they were great. Same with Dead Island. But due to, the graphics and whatnot and other glitches and errors, it's just, they aren't perfect games. They're just games that I happen to enjoy. And then there's a lot of those platformers that are going to be mixed in here, probably higher on the list, that I'm personally not a fan of. So to take my bias out of this, we've put this in the order of the Metacritic ratings. Now, another thing worth noting is the 2013 E3 press conference that Games with Gold was first announced at, where they said we're going to have Fable 3 be the first one. We're also going to have Halo 3 and Assassin's Creed 2 come up down the road. That was a terrible press conference for Microsoft. Like, the whole Games with Gold thing kind of got overshadowed by the hatred people had for the Xbox One, simply because the Xbox One was not planning to support used games. The licensing thing that Microsoft had came up with was basically going to restrict you from having used games on the platform and really just try to force you into buying either new games or digital releases. So this awesome program kind of got overshadowed by that. I'm super glad that it has lasted as long as it has. I would love to hear what you guys' favorite Games with Gold of all time was down in the comments section if you want to drop that there. I will also have the full list along with the Metacritic ratings in the description if you guys want to take a closer look at how these paired out and just kind of see if they lined up with the ratings that you had. There's some of these that I was going through the list as I was assembling this video, and I was really disappointed with the fact that I don't actually have the games. I've been a gold member for probably 7 years, much longer than this promotion's been going on. Yet, some months went by where, maybe I didn't sign on to the 360. Maybe I didn't get on Xbox at all. Maybe I didn't go on the Xbox app. I don't know what it was, but I never pressed the download button and actually even got the game added to, my account that I had quote-unquote purchased it. So I missed out on some of these great games, and I just wish that I'd have been able to assemble a collection of all of them. And it's something that for the last 6 months I've tried to make an effort to at least collect all of them that have came out, because I realized I missed some of these. I should have 125 free games, and I don't, because I missed some of them. However, some of them I also already owned, and it made me realize, every single time that one of these came out on Games with Gold and it was a game that I owned on disc, the first thing that I did when I found out that it was going to be Games with Gold is I got in the car, I drove to GameStop, I sold that disc as fast as I could because I was like, I don't need you anymore. All I'm going to have is this free download. So it was kind of like a nice, easy GameStop gift card for me if it was a game that I already had. Now, if it was a game that I already had digitally, well, then there was nothing I could do about it. But I will say that I feel the success and the ongoing length of this program has kind of had an impact maybe on the games people actually purchase from the Xbox store. I see it all the time on the r/Great Xbox Deals subreddit, where people will debate if they see an older game on sale, be it a 360 one or an Xbox One game, they'll debate, should I buy it? You know, it's on sale, but is that just going to be a sign that next month it's going to be games with gold? Who knows? But I will say that some of these older games, you know, that I really enjoyed back in the day that, you know, people ultimately quit playing. I'm thinking Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3. They had great multiplayer that ultimately died out when the Xbox One came out. However, when they went games with gold, in the case of both of those games and so many more, all of a sudden when everybody's getting the game for free, there's at least people willing to check it out. So all of a sudden you had thousands of people signing into multiplayer on games that were, you know, 5+ years old, and just kind of reignited that fan base. And many of them were noobs, so if you'd ever played the game before, you had a huge advantage. You could just run in and crush them. So that was awesome for those two Battlefield games, plus Halo 3, which had kind of been dying off, even at the time that it went games with gold, even though it was a game that had a spectacular legacy. Now as we creep closer and closer to the top 25, I do want to mention that some of these are going to surprise you, or at least they surprised me. It wasn't all necessarily the, you know, big name AAA titles that made it into the top spots. Some of them, like this one right here, really shocked me, as well as this Tomb Raider game, just because it wasn't my kind of game. Battle Block Theater, on the other hand, I really enjoyed the co-op in that, and Forza Horizon was just a great value because that is a huge game. But there were all kinds of other ones mixed in. Now, if you have taken a look at the description and actually seen the Metacritic numbers for these games, there is only one game that comes in below 50. There's a handful of others that come in below 70, but for the most part, every game that Microsoft gave away as a part of this promotion was in the 70 and even more so in the 80s range on Metacritic. And to me, those are pretty good games. I think that when this promotion came out, despite the fact that Fable 3 was kind of the headliner to start the thing, I kind of got the feeling that they were going to be giving out, you know, some of the more crappy, cheaper games, maybe the arcade games that were, you know, 1,200 Microsoft points at the time. But that didn't end up being the case. It ended up being some huge, you know, even in some cases, open world games that you could put, you know, well, more than a month worth of hours into. And it really came down to the fact that if you wanted to, you could just play the games with gold game every month until the next one came out. You could probably never ever buy games again. Another thing I noticed as I was scraping through this data is many of the better games, the ones that were 90 plus, maybe even in the high 80s, have not came out on games with gold in the past couple years, with the exception of Bayonetta, and I believe one of the Dead Space games did come out recently on games with gold that had very high ratings, but with that exception, a lot of them have been lower tier titles, and maybe that's just their sign of, you know, they've ran out of great games that they're willing to give away for the 360, or it's just because they're trying to phase it out. I don't think they're trying to phase it out. I think that the 360 games with gold will only continue as, you know, they have the compatibility with Xbox One, and that just makes for even more games for people to play, and, you know, what's the harm in it for Microsoft? So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and a look at all 125 games with gold over the past 5 years. Thank you for watching. I'm Bailey, and I will see you in the next video.